Hello, everyone, and welcome to this first talk and draw. Today's episode, we are going to draw a sphere. First thing you're going to want to do is draw a circle. Now, I seem to be having a little bit of difficulty drawing this circle. Something that I suggest doing is practicing drawing circles. So just fill up a couple pages in your sketchbook of just circles. Hold the pencil like I'm holding it. Try to use your full arm and really work on just getting that motion down, getting the circle down. You'll get really good at drawing circles, and that's obviously a great thing. So next thing up, we're going to draw that contour of the circle where the shadow is going, right through the middle, kind of at an angle. So our light source is coming down from the top left, and then we are going to draw the outline of where our cast shadow is going to be. First, we'll draw the edge of the table, of the plane where the sphere is sitting, and then we'll draw in where the cast shadow is. Now keep in mind there are some hard lines and there are some soft lines. So that edge of the cast shadow on the right, that's going to be our soft line. And then where these lines I'm drawing right here, that is where our light source is being blocked by the edge of the sphere and going down and creating that cast shadow. Now I'm going to erase those lines because I don't need them. I could probably leave them because they're going to get covered up in shading anyway. But next what we're going to do is shade in those areas where our shadow is. And we're going to shade in and make them all the same value. So really work on trying to get that same value all the way through. And that value is going to be our lightest value within our shadow. All throughout that core shadow on the bottom of the ball and our cast shadow, our darkest shading portion on the cast shadow on the plane. I'm going to go over some of these areas and define them a little bit more. So talking a little bit about that lightest part of the shadowed area on the sphere, it's going to be on that bottom part. That's going to be technically from our secondary light source, and that secondary light source actually plays off of our primary because it is a reflection off of the surface that the sphere is sitting on. And that's how you get that reflected light in your shadow, in your core shadow. So I'm just kind of filling in around where that top of the sphere is. Get a lot more contrast from the darker background, and you can even fill that in a little bit more. I'm just kind of doing this just to show roughly how you would go about doing that. And then we're going to start shading in a little bit darker in the areas of our core shadow that are darker. And kind of make a gradient down. But yeah, get in those darks as dark as you want them to go. And the darker you get those darks, the more value you have to play with. So make them dark. So that arrow that I just pointed to, that's going to be the darker part of that core shadow, because there's no reflective light coming from that direction. There's nothing that is bouncing the light off of our primary light source. And there's going to be a little bit, it's going to be a little bit darker underneath that reflected area. And just keep going with that shading. And we're just going to keep pushing those darks, following the contour of the sphere. Now your cast shadow right around this area may end up kind of being the same value as the bottom part of the sphere. And you may even kind of lose that edge a little bit into the shadow. And that's a creative decision, and I think sometimes that ends up looking pretty cool, actually. Now we're kind of leading to that softer edge on the right side of that cast shadow. And it is pretty dark throughout. I've got kind of more of a gradient going, but it should be, I think it should be a little bit darker. But this edge of the cast shadow on the plane is a bit harder of a line, so I'm kind of defining that line a little bit more. Just keep working in that graphite, get it darker. And you don't really want to rush this. I'm going pretty fast, but really you should take your time with this. Slowly build up that graphite to get it darker. Don't just push down super hard and make it as dark as you can, as fast as you can. We're not in a rush. We're not in a hurry. Just take your time with it. Go slow and develop. Develop. Just keep going with that. Get that contour a little bit darker. Push that shading, push it in. So pointing out where the primary light source is coming down from. It's a little bit late in the process of pointing that out, but just in case you were wondering, that top left line, that's where our light is coming from. That bottom line pointing up, that's where our reflective light is pushing into our core shadow, kind of lightening up that bottom section of the sphere. And it's going to be a little bit more realistic that way. Don't just make it super dark and then gradient it up. It's not what it ends up looking like. It's actually going to be that full top left area. is just, it's a pretty hard line once that contour side of the sphere starts blocking that light. Just keep darkening up that cast shadow. So drawing these spheres and working on the shading is really going to help with your overall drawing of whatever it is you're drawing. Really, if you're trying to be more realistic in how you draw, this is going to help you do that, because you're not just outlining everything. You're using the shadows, you're using the contours of the shapes to help define things, and not just relying on hard outlines. You know, a lot of people have really successful drawings with their, all it is line work, and you know, I think that's pretty cool too. But if you want to do it like this, I think this is a great practice. Help you learn how to shade these things and get pretty good at making things a little bit more realistic, a little bit more believable. Especially when you're doing portrait drawings, because aspects of the face are basically just rounded edges. You get a lot of reflected light in the bottom parts of the face, especially when your light source is coming down from the top, just like this is. So practicing this stuff, I think it's very, very beneficial. It may feel boring and seem a little, you know, this is a waste of my time. Also, I'm just, you know, I'm drawing portraits because I feel like I'm getting pretty good at them, and then I can post them on social media and people like them. Can't really post a ball on social media. It's not very interesting. Well, so do some drawings that you're not posting. Do some drawings that are just for you, that are going to help you get even better. And then your stuff that you post on social media will be even cooler, and even more people will like it. And then you'll feel so much better about yourself. No, I'm just kidding. Don't use that to make yourself feel better about yourself. Just work on your drawings and do this stuff for you. If other people like it, that's awesome. If nobody really sees it and nobody really says anything about it, send it to me. I'll say something cool about it. I think just people drawing in general is cool, and that people want to take the time to draw is awesome. Even if, you know, even if it's not great. I mean, not everybody's great. Definitely not everybody starts off great. But, you know, that's cool. Doesn't matter. If you want to get great at it. Well, there's nothing stopping you from doing that. So, just keep working at it, and show people your stuff. So now we're doing a little bit of shading the area that's getting the light, because it's not just completely white. And that little area that I just erased, you know, that's where that the biggest highlight is. So it's not quite right on the edge, but it's in a little bit. Made a little mark there. This can be a little distracting, but you know, it is what it is. There's a little mark on the sphere. No big deal. Imperfections. Life has imperfections. So learn to roll with those. Okay, so now we're just going to kind of soften up these edges. I'm just using my finger because I don't really have anything else to do that with. But anyway, that's it. If you guys like this video, like and subscribe and do all that stuff. Thanks for watching, guys. Seriously, it's super awesome. All right, see you later.